Be me. Name is Mark. 29, HR and talent manager at a fintech startup in Austin. Been here for 4 years, since we were Series A. Company is growth metric. We do analytics for financial services. Now 95 employees, venture-backed, fast-growing. Tech, sales, customer success, operations teams. I helped build our people-first culture from scratch. Implemented inclusive hiring, equity workshops, mental health benefits. People trust me here. I shaped what this place values. Sitting in final interviews for Director of Enterprise Sales. Critical role, we're trying to break into Fortune 500 clients. This position could make or break our Series C. We've narrowed down to 2 final candidates. First is Brandon, 35, worked at similar startups. His background is all high-growth tech companies. Talks enthusiastically about mission-driven sales. Mentions he only sells products he personally believes in. Second is David, 37, comes from traditional enterprise software. Spent decade at Oracle then IBM. His track record is impressive but very corporate. Big deals, long sales cycles, conservative approach. During culture questions, I ask about his values alignment. He says he focuses on understanding client needs thoroughly, then matching solutions to their specific problems. Doesn't really engage with the values-driven angle. I ask how he'd fit into startup culture. He's honest, says he's more reserved than typical startup energy. But his results speak for themselves. Shows steady track record of quota attainment. After interviews, hiring committee meets. VP of Sales Rachel really liked Brandon's energy. Thought he'd fit the team vibe better. I agree and add Brandon clearly aligns with our mission. David seems competent, but feels like corporate culture clash. Our CEO James asks what makes me say that. I explain David's answers felt stiff, overly formal. Didn't show passion for what we're building here. We need someone who genuinely believes in disrupting finance. Rachel nods. Brandon felt more authentic to our values. James counters that David's average deal size is 3x Brandon's. His client retention rate is 94% over 5 years. Those numbers are remarkable in enterprise sales. I argue that culture fit predicts long-term success. Better to have someone aligned who can grow into the numbers. We vote. Brandon wins 3-2. I send the offer feeling confident we chose right. Month 1, Brandon starts with tons of enthusiasm. He loves the office, joins every Slack channel, participates in all company events and discussions. The team really likes his energy and positivity. I'm proud we prioritized culture over pure metrics. Month 2, Brandon is ramping up his pipeline. He's great at initial meetings, builds rapport quickly. Prospects seem to like him personally, but I notice his follow-through is inconsistent. Several promising leads go cold after first meeting. Rachel mentions his proposals lack technical depth. I tell her it's just onboarding, he'll improve. Month 3, Brandon closes his first deal. It's a small company, $20K annual contract. Good to get on the board, but below target deal size. He's pumped about it, celebrates with the team. But we need $200K plus deals for his quota. Rachel is getting concerned about pipeline development. Month 4 and Brandon's struggling with enterprise complexity. Big companies want detailed ROI analysis, security documentation, compliance frameworks. Brandon keeps saying he's working on it, but deals aren't progressing past early stages. One CFO tells Rachel directly in feedback. Your rep is enthusiastic but lacks substance. Couldn't answer basic questions about our architecture. This is embarrassing for our company reputation. Meanwhile, I hear, through my network, that David, who we didn't hire, just closed a $2 million deal at his new company. 3-year contract with a major bank. I tell myself, one deal doesn't prove anything. We made the right cultural choice. Month 5, Brandon is behind quota by 65%. His pipeline looks weak, mostly small deals. Rachel pulls me into a serious conversation. Says Brandon is a culture fit, but can't do the job. Enterprise sales requires experience he doesn't have. I defend him, say he just needs more support. Maybe better sales engineering resources. Rachel is blunt. Mark, he doesn't know the space. Big companies see through the enthusiasm. They want someone who understands their world. Month 6, and James calls emergency meeting. Brandon is being put on performance improvement plan. Either he closes a significant deal in 60 days, or we need to make a change. This is my hire. I feel responsible. Spend extra time coaching Brandon myself. But he's overwhelmed, admits enterprise sales is different than the transactional deals he did before. Month 7, Brandon closes one mid-sized deal. $80K contract, helps but still way below target. James makes the decision to let him go. Asks me to handle the termination. Brandon takes it hard, says he really tried. That maybe he wasn't ready for this level. I feel terrible watching him pack his desk. Now we're back to square one on the roll. 6 months behind on enterprise revenue targets. James is frustrated, calls meeting with me and Rachel. Says we need to rehire immediately. This time we can't afford another culture experiment. We need someone who can actually close enterprise deals. I suggest we cast a wide net, find culture and competence. James cuts me off, asks me directly. Is David from our first round still available? I'm resistant. Explain why we passed on him. James looks at the numbers on his screen. Mark, Brandon cost us 6 months and 0 enterprise revenue. David has closed $4 million in deals since we interviewed him. Maybe our culture assessment was wrong. Rachel agrees, says she's heard great things about David. That his clients stay with him for years. That's exactly what we need for enterprise. James decides to reach out directly. I'm uncomfortable, but don't argue. Week later, David agrees to exploratory conversation. James asks me to join the meeting. I'm nervous. Feel like I'm being evaluated too. David arrives exactly on time, professional as before. James is direct about what happened. We made a hire focused on culture fit. It didn't work out. We need someone proven. David asks smart questions about our product roadmap. Customer base composition, competitive positioning. Doesn't ask about culture or office vibe at all. Just focused on whether he can succeed at the work. James offers him the position with higher compensation, acknowledging his increased value since last time. David says he'll think about it over the weekend. After he leaves, James asks my honest assessment. I admit he knows enterprise sales, but I'm concerned about team dynamics. James is direct. Maybe too direct. Mark, your job is to hire people who can do the job, not to enforce your personal politics on candidates. That stings, but I can't really argue. 3 days later, David accepts the offer. Starts the following Monday morning. I handle onboarding professionally, but I'm watching for any concerning behavior. First week, David is quiet and methodical. Spends most of time reviewing our product documentation. Talks extensively with engineering and product teams. Takes detailed notes. Asks technical questions. I notice he doesn't join our social channels on Slack. Doesn't add pronouns to his email signature. My old instinct says this is a red flag. But I remember James's words about enforcing politics. Week 2, David starts calling into his existing network. Former clients, industry contacts, procurement people. I hear him on calls. He's different than Brandon. Less enthusiastic, more consultative. Asks a lot of questions, really listens to answers. Month 1, David schedules meetings with 3 enterprise prospects. All companies with 1,000 plus employees. Rachel tells me his meeting prep is incredibly thorough. He researches their business, reads earnings calls, understands their industry challenges specifically. The meetings go well. All 3 want second meetings. Month 2, David closes his first deal. $250K annual contract with a healthcare company. 3-year commitment. They want to expand next quarter. It's exactly the kind of deal we needed. James publicly recognizes the win. David is modest, says the product sold itself. But everyone knows that's not true. Month 3, David brings in 2 more enterprise deals. Combined $400K in annual recurring revenue. His pipeline is building steadily. All qualified opportunities with real budgets. Rachel tells me David's proposals are exceptional. Detailed ROI analysis, risk mitigation, implementation plans. Everything enterprise buyers want to see. I'm watching him around the office. He's friendly but keeps to himself mostly. Doesn't attend happy hours or team social events. When he does come to all hands, he sits in back. Some of the younger employees seem put off. They want him to be more engaged with culture. But senior leadership appreciates his results. Month 4, and I overhear conversation in kitchen. 2 of our product managers talking about David. One mentions she looked him up online. Found his wife's Instagram, very traditional content. Stay-at-home mom, homeschooling, conservative values. The PM sounds concerned about this. Like it's evidence he doesn't align with our values. I feel that old instinct to document this information. Then I stop and really think about it. What exactly is concerning here? He's respectful to everyone, doing excellent work. His personal life is completely separate from his job. Month 5, we're in quarterly business review. David's accounts now represent 35% of enterprise revenue. He's on track to hit 120% of quota. Customer satisfaction scores are highest in sales org. James publicly thanks him for turning around enterprise. David is gracious, credits product and engineering teams. After meeting, I congratulate him briefly. He's polite but not warm. Thanks me and returns to his desk. We're not going to be friends. And I'm learning that's perfectly fine. Month 6, one of David's clients refers another company. Says working with David has been exceptional. He understands their business, doesn't oversell. Follows through on every commitment. This referral becomes our largest deal yet. $450K annual contract, 5-year commitment. James is thrilled. David is promoted to VP of Enterprise. I process the promotion paperwork with mixed feelings. This validates we made a hiring mistake with Brandon. But not for the reasons I initially thought. We didn't choose wrong because of culture. We chose wrong because we prioritized culture over competence. I'm in James's office discussing Q4 hiring plans. He brings up the David situation directly. Mark, you're good at HR operations. But you've been using the role to screen for ideology. That needs to stop. I get defensive, say I prioritize inclusive environment. He interrupts firmly. Inclusion means including people with different views. Not just people who perform progressive values your way. David treats everyone professionally and respectfully. He delivers exceptional results. That's what actually matters for the business. Not whether he joins our activism Slack channels. Month 8, we're hiring for 2 more enterprise roles. I'm leading the search. Catch myself about to prioritize culture questions. Instead, I refocus on capability and track record. Can they close complex deals? Do they understand enterprise buying cycles? Do they have relevant industry relationships? End up hiring 2 experienced enterprise reps. Both are professional, but not particularly social. They don't engage much with office culture activities. And that's fine. They're excellent at their jobs. Month 10, I'm doing annual performance reviews. David's review is straightforward. Exceptional performance, exceeded all targets. Built strong client relationships and healthy pipeline. Some feedback that he's not very social at team events. But everyone respects his professionalism and expertise. In our review meeting, he focuses on business topics. Asks about territory expansion and comp structure. Doesn't ask about DEI initiatives or culture programs. I used to find this kind of thing frustrating. Now I understand its appropriate professional boundaries. Year mark since David started. Our enterprise revenue is up 300%. We closed our Series C at higher valuation than expected. David's team of enterprise reps is now 6 people. All following his consultative, relationship-driven approach. I'm reflecting on the Brandon situation. He ended up at a smaller startup doing transactional sales. He's apparently doing well there, better fit for his style. We did him a disservice by hiring him. for a role that didn't match his actual capabilities. Because we prioritized cultural alignment. David never had that problem. He knew exactly what the job required and consistently delivered results. I'm at a People Ops conference presenting about the importance of competence-based hiring. Share a story anonymously. How we prioritized culture over capability. The real costs of that approach. Audience is split in their reactions. Some appreciate the honesty. Others clearly think I've abandoned progressive values. One talent director thanks me after. Says her company made similar mistakes. Hired for ideology, struggled with performance. Appreciates validation that competence must come first. Another attendee pushes back hard. Says this is how bias gets justified. That competence is coded language for culture fit. I understand her concern but disagree with the premise. David's competence is objectively measurable. Quota attainment, deal size, client retention. These aren't subjective cultural judgments. Back at office, I'm in regular meetings with David. He's leading our enterprise strategy now. Mentoring new reps effectively. I notice his approach to coaching. He's patient, never condescending. Teaches methodically, shares his frameworks. Doesn't require people to adopt his worldview. Just shows them how to serve clients effectively. 2 years after hiring David. Growth metric has grown to 200 employees. Enterprise is now 60% of revenue. David is SVP of Sales managing 15 people. I'm now Director of People Operations. Less focused on culture enforcement. More focused on enabling people to do great work. James thanks me in our one-on-one. Says I've matured significantly in my approach. Learned to separate personal politics from professional judgment. That evening I'm at drinks with Rachel. We talk about how much the company has changed. She mentions David is best sales leader she's worked with. Makes everyone better through clear coaching. Never micromanages, just provides tools for success. I ask if his lack of culture engagement bothers her. She looks surprised by the question. I don't think about his politics at all. He's respectful, effective, develops his people. That's what matters in a sales leader. I realize she's right. I spent so much time judging David for things that had nothing to do with his work. His wife's social media, his lack of activism, his disinterest in office culture activities. None of it affected how he treated people or how effectively he did his job. Anyway, that's my story about dismissing a candidate over politics, then watching him become our top performer. Learning that HR isn't about enforcing ideology. It's about enabling people to do excellent work. That my version of inclusion was actually exclusion of different viewpoints. David taught me that without trying. Just by showing up and delivering results. Treating everyone with professional respect. Regardless of whether they shared his politics. That's more valuable than any diversity workshop. More effective than any culture program. Just competence combined with basic human decency. Turns out that's what actually matters.